I am very happy to have my next guest join us. She is a very talented singer and songwriter who just dropped a brand new EP called Good Things. It is Wafia. Wafia, hello. So good to see you.
So great to see you. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I was just commenting earlier about the gloominess outside here in San Francisco, and look at you, all sunny with your white background.
It's very warm here. Is it cold out there? Is that the...
You know, we're expecting a heat wave, but I think the bigger thing is all the smoke from the fires that are around us here.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were blowing up.
Yeah, it's been ebbing and flowing, and today is actually a little bad, so had to be a little careful and whatnot. How are you? You know, it's been a couple years since we had one of these, and a lot has changed for you. So, you know, in the moment, how are you today?
You know what? I'm good today. I did my workout. I got out of bed. That's a win. I'm concerned. So, but I'm doing good. Yeah.
Nice. And so I guess the big life change for you, which there are quite a few, is that, quote unquote, you're a Cali girl now. You live in LA.
I feel like the vibe is very similar to Australia. So I haven't changed. This doesn't feel too foreign to me.
How's that been, seeing that obviously your family is all in one place and in a country that also has had its peaks and valleys when tackling this pandemic and things like that? I'm sure you must have a lot of FaceTime calls. Are they worried about you, or is that you've led such a nomadic life? They're like, yeah, you're a grown up now. You can take care of yourself.
Definitely not the latter. Definitely not. I mean, like, I know that it's very difficult for my parents to even vocalize that they miss me, because I know that they'll just break down into tears. So they really miss me. It's been tough for us, and also just not knowing. Like, I've always just had a time when I'm just going to be home, and it's just been tough because if I go there, it will be really difficult for me to come back into the US. Just because of the flights leaving Australia are really limited. And it's just like, I can just get more work done here. Thankfully, my parents understand, but that doesn't make it any easier.
I think a lot of people learned about Wafia over the course of time after your big Louis the Child feature, because you and I spoke, I think, a couple years ago when you had just released 8 here in San Francisco. You were doing a show at the rickshaw stop, and it was awesome. People were into it. But then all of a sudden, people were like, oh, you got to check out this Wafia, Pete. Have you talked to Wafia yet? I was like, come on, please. So let's go back to that. How did you get introduced to Louis the Child? The guys are awesome, and you know, what was that relationship like, or is?
The guys are just great. I mean, I met them because the producer that I was working with at the time was roommates with Robbie. And so I was working out of that studio in that house every day. So I was bumping into Robbie. Freddie would be coming over. And there was talks about them doing a remix. And then their A&R was like, let's just get them in the room instead. So we did. And then that was just... it just clicked very easily from there. Like, that song we wrote that day, and I wrote it with Rabel as well, who I had never met before that day. So that day is actually quite pivotal for me in that, like, it led me to the collaborators that I ended up working with in my solo stuff. But yeah, you know, I mean, like, the guys are great, and like, that song has opened up so many doors for me, and it's just like such a sweet song that I'm just so glad that I got to be a part of and that I was able to write.
And I think that experience totally changed or helped you evolve as well, because when I listen to the songs on Good Things, I hear some of that influence, so to speak. You know, I don't want to say that, oh, you know, you must have worked with Louis the Child on that one. I think it totally just opened a different world to you. Is that fair to say?
I think it's fair to say in that, like, it was a very crucial time for me in that, like, I was starting to find the beauty and lightness. I think before that collaboration, everything I had done was very dark. And so even in sending Better Not to my managers, I was like, I don't know about this song. And my manager was like, this is a really good song. I'm not going to let you just, like, not put this out or not be a part of it.
That leads me to some of the songs on the EP, in which is inspired by, informed by demise, a breakup of a relationship. I guess, how difficult is it to write those type of relationship themed songs, because to me it seems so therapeutic to get out the anger, sadness, and all those things, and then to now, you know, go through those stages and say, okay, I'm a good person. I have a lot to offer. I will find my lobster.
I love that. I think, you know, it's tough. There were definitely a lot of songs that I wrote that were so sad and heartbreaking, but it's choosing like what you want to focus on. And very much like very early on, so I worked on this whole sort of EP with my executive producer, John Hill. And very early on, we, in the courses of us putting like me fresh out of a breakup, talking to him about what I want this project to be, just signed to Atlantic, he plays me Marvin Gaye's Here, My Dear, which is this incredible album that tells a narrative. And I was very much inspired by that. Like, it was about the relationship, but it's not about the other person. It's about, like, it's so nuanced in that it's the evolution of yourself through the lens of a relationship. And that's a very important but small distinction to make. And in approaching it that way, it never became really about my ex. It's, and like I said, there were definitely days where I wrote songs where I was crying in the booth. But yeah, the distinction was really important to make, and I have a lot of love for my ex. I don't really want to, he hurt me a lot and he wasn't very nice to me, but I don't want to create a body of work about his actions. It should be about mine.
Usually when these things happen, it's so traumatic and you can become so prolific. So you just talked about your album. Do we have like 100 songs to choose from?
We have a lot. I've definitely like narrowed it down to like 13 that I love, and I'm still like in the process of, you know, writing more. But it is going to be narrative based. I can tell you that much, and it is about the full story. And now that I've also had, like, I only went through this breakup a year ago, but there's some, like, there are so many more emotions that can come up in through, like, just in that I've had more time and my perspective has changed. So that's been really interesting to write. The last week has been approaching it through like even more compassion, even more kindness.
You know, I am very hopeful for you. I hope that you will find the person who loves garlic as much as you do. You are such a wonderful person.
Thank you. I hope I find them too.
Can you touch on that super quick? I love your comment on Twitter about how it got more engagement than your music-related tweets.
You know what? That tweet truly cracked me up, because I can't lie, there was a hint of sadness in that. like, okay, this is what works.
This is what people wanted.
This is what the people wanted. I think I should just become a garlic fan account now.
Well, thank you so much for doing this, and I'm glad that you're doing well and having fun in LA.
You too, Pete.